everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the weekend. We finally made it. We made it through another completely jacked up week. Man, does SHTF ever let up? The answer is no. No, it's not going to let up. It is going to be at least a decade, in my opinion, before we get to the other side of whatever's in front of us, to where life is actually good again. Maybe even normal, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I got to tell you, it's been a rough week. I spent a lot of time, folks, doing research, a lot of time digging through news stories, opinions, videos, gobs of information, as well as private correspondence. And it seems that what they're doing is precisely what they want. They're trying to wear us down. And I think it's really important. I want to start out this presentation, the end of the week monologue and Q&A. Don't let them wear you out. See, that's how they win. It's called attrition. Wearing an enemy down, slowly taking their energy, their resources, their time, and hurting them. That is key in psychological warfare. It is key to winning any battle at all. Right? You wear out the opponent, you wear out their desire, you wear out their ability to respond effectively, right? To counter their moves. That's what they're trying to do. Now, I am very grateful and thankful I understand this, and I want to pass it on to you. That's what they are doing, and we are fighting back. That is correct, folks. We, the people. In particular, this week, parents and school boards are going after, right, what is wrong with the system. Now, the left counters with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, trying to scare parents into silence, trying to threaten them with name calling. Sticks and stones will break my bones, right? Calling me a domestic terrorist is going to stop me. Parents aren't domestic terrorists, folks. They're parents. But that's what they're trying to do to stop. It is a massive information war. It is a massive psychological war. And attrition is how they plan on winning this. Don't let them beat you down. And besides us, me, you, the people, we do have some good politicians out there, some good ones. And I want to kind of go over that a little bit here and let you know, folks, it's not over. It's not even close to being over. In fact, it's barely begun, and it's going to get nasty. I want to start with this coming in today. In Florida, they said, hey, no mask mandates. Pow. The governor, right, signs a law. No mask mandates. Well, 8 separate school districts defied that state law. In other words, teachers, principals, administrators have become fucking criminals. Why is it when the state passes a law, any state, whether it's California, Texas, Florida, New York, it doesn't matter where it's at. When a state passes a law and I violate it, I get a fucking ticket, or I get to go to jail, or all of the above and pay fines. But when a school does it, all of a sudden, whatever. Well, in this case, the state board, I believe, of education is now sanctioning those schools. Really, what does that mean in the end? What is the penalty? Like I said, for you and me, the penalty would be going to jail, paying a fine, etc. Right? But these school districts, they're not going to quite pay the way we would. But they are going to, I think, lose funding. And it's good to see that states like Texas and Florida are standing up and saying, hey, hello, the 10th Amendment that exists. Hey, the federal government can't step in. Hey, the federal government should go the hell away, right? It's incredible, though. This is not going to get better. It's just not. It's going to get worse. It's going to get harder. SHTF is not going to let up, but we do have help on our side. One more time here, folks. One more time. I want to go after this. Big Marge. Marge Taylor Greene, representative Republican out of the state of Georgia. She went on a tweet rampage. And I call her Big Marge, but she's really not, big, but she's bigger than life in a lot of ways. She's doing what other Republicans haven't and won't. Sadly, there's very few that have the spine, the backbone, dare I say the cojones, right, of Marge Taylor Greene. And I want more to be like her. That's why I prop her up and say, hey, look, right, this little blonde lady from Georgia can do this. So she just tweeted out, number one, she says, it's the systemic failures of the Republican establishment who constantly compromise with the hate America communist Democrat Party that have led us to where we are now. Now, that was a direct quote. I did not add in colorful prepared mind language. That was all Marjorie Taylor Greene. Me and you need to prep to action. We need to step into this. We need to become active. And we do have some politicians on our side, and we need to encourage them and support them, and dare I say, emulate them. Well, she continued. She said, two, Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, needs to stop holding hands with Schumer, who hates Republicans and wants to round us up with the politically weaponized Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation. Once again, that was Marge Taylor Greene. And she continued, folks. She continues. Three, she says, extending the debt ceiling just gives a comfy little padding and relieves the pressure off the Democrats to continue working their socialist plans in the Green New Deal budget so they can please the jihad squad in the House. Once again, completely, as far as the left is concerned, offensive. As far as I'm concerned, she's on target. She's making it known, right, what is going on. She's not letting the Republicans off the hook. She is a Republican. Maybe I should say she's not letting the rhinos off the hook. And she continues with tweet number 4. For your information, Mitch, she's referring to Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican leader. For your information, Mitch, anything you do that helps the America and Israeli hating progressives get their way betrays our country and our allies. Republican leaders should not be providing aid and comfort to the likes of Omar, Jayapal, and AOC. And she continues, folks. Like I said, we have politicians on our side. We need to take our action, get prepped, prep to action. We need to support them, tell them what we believe, and there needs to be more Marjorie Taylor Greenes. Let us continue. 5, McConnell needs to lead Republicans in the Senate to stand firm against every single Democrat bill and request made with Democrat lying, slithering tongues. Wow. Number 6, McConnell is so old. How old is he? McConnell is so old and has been encrusted into the walls of the swamp that he can't even hear the screams coming from Republicans and even Democrats all over America demanding Republicans in Washington fight with everything we have to stop the destruction of our great country. Wow. Is she saying it or is she saying it? Number 7, she kept going. Hashtag Leader McConnell, or at Leader McConnell, should talk to representatives like me about what the people want instead of talking with Democrat leaders like Schumer. I have the people's support, and they are beyond angry at what they see. Yeah, she's speaking of us. We are beyond angry. Number 8 and final, folks. Number 8 and final. It's Republicans' job to stop the Democrats' destructive agenda. Let them own every bit of failure. Don't help them. Brilliant. We need more. And, like I said, I wanted to, as much as they're beating us up, as much as they're trying to destroy America, as much as they want us downtrodden, feeling like we're beat, folks, we're not. I wish we had more Congresswoman Boebert, more Congresswoman Big Marge, more Congressman Devin Nunes, more congressmen just that stand up for America. But they're there. They need to be supported. Right? Let's talk about Senator Rand Paul. He is on the attack this week, and he blasts the lying Dr. Darkhelmet and said, quote, he ignores natural immunity because it foils his mass Kool-Aid plan. He's fighting the fight. We need to support him, and people need to yell at all of their constituents. I tell you. Senator Cruz spoke up today and said this, quote, Cerveza bug has shown Democrats are authoritarian, jackbooted thugs. And what I have to say to Senator Cruz and all politicians is do something, you assholes. You're the ones in charge. Words are great and fantastic, but do something. And I don't know what they can do, folks. I mean, they can put pressure on people. They can make phone calls. But really, who is it? Who does it come down to? Once again, if I commit a crime, the police come and get me and arrest me. They book some charges. Remember, they're the police. They see the crime. They make the arrest, they hold the person in jail, and then the district attorney or the DA's office gets to decide the charges they're going to apply and what they're going to prosecute for. That means there's law enforcement somewhere, folks, that should see the crimes being committed and just go arrest them, period. But what do we find? We find the USDC Gestapo, that is the United States District of Columbia Police, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Justice. All of these people, folks, know they're getting away with practically murder. And it would be nice if somebody would make some arrests, refer some cases to the district attorney. Right. It's incredible. I mean, there's another way things go. The district attorney gets together a grand jury and says, hey, we got evidence of a crime. Do we have enough? Can we prosecute? Yada, yada. And the grand jury says yes. Then they have the police go out and arrest people. It works both ways. Where the fuck are they is what I want to know. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what's going on. Now, not only do we have some people in Washington, and we want more up there for them to fight up there, because this system is trashed. Our beautiful American constitutional republic has essentially been trashed. So we need more good people to send there to keep fighting. And they're not going to quit on the left, folks. The left will not quit. Oh, by the way, get in your questions. Get in your questions now. Get them in, because we get to the bottom half of the hour here, 30 minutes in, we're going to switch over to your Q&A questions. And it's, well, if you're a member of Patreon, Monday through Friday, you can join for free, log in, watch live, ask questions. It's kind of like the zoo, only it's every day. But let's do this, folks. Let's just talk about Patreon a little, and then I'm going to tell you some more powerful things and why Shit It's the Fan is not going to let up. But we are not doomed. We're just in for a good, long fight. Okay, folks, welcome back. Here we are. What is going on in this country? There is a multifaceted attack on us. It is psychological, it is information, it's media war, it's political. It's over things medical, financial, military, race. Everything is on the table right now. So we've got a veteran who's running for Congress. He's a congressional candidate, and he has just gone after the racist mandates, and he's tying actually the medical mandates to racism from the political leftists, right? Now, according to Barack Hussein, Barry Soetoro, Obama, remember, folks, access to health care is a human right and nobody should ever be denied. Remember that? Well, that was then. And now the Obama stooge, Gigi Biden, is doing the exact opposite, trying to deny people access to medical care. So, veteran and congressional candidate, folks, I want to be sure too. It looks like a difficult name to pronounce, but I'll get it right. Anyways, he's from New Jersey. And oh, by the way, he's also a Black American who really cares about Black lives, I'm sure, and everyone else. But he points to the SHTF creating hypocrisy of the political left. And he is in New Jersey. His name is Billy Prempa. And he's an Air Force veteran. He's a candidate. And this is what he has to say, folks. He explains that 28% of Black Americans ages 14 to 44 in New York are vaccinated. He said that leaves 72%. Basic math, right? 72% of Black residents in New York are now being denied medical service and other services due to the new vaccine passport mandates. Isn't that just incredible, folks? This is his direct quote. Is this not racist? Or will liberals yet again get away with the harmful and destructive policies for the Black community? In other words, this idea, Obama, that healthcare and access to it is a human right and nobody should ever be denied. Now we're seeing people being medically denied for basic care, for going into restaurants, for anything in New York. We're looking at 3 out of 4 Black Americans being told to get the fuck out of the store. They aren't even being told you can go to the back of the bus. They're being told you can't even get on the bus. They're being told there is no Black fountain. You don't get to go to the fountain for a drink. No service for you. No soup for you. Folks, these people on the left, these political leftists, are Nazis. And I'm glad he came out and made this point. It is racist because they know that the Black community in America does not trust the Jim Jones juice. Even though Joy Behar, the idiot extraordinaire, came out this week at the end of the week here. I mean, she's an idiot, folks. It's just, she goes on TV on The View and says, well, Blacks should take the Jim Jones juice because they have already experimented on white people. Are you kidding me? That's really what she said. Unfucking believable. Stunning that she could say something like that. To take an entire section of the country, Black America, and say, you know, you can trust this because we've experimented on whitey, as if that makes it okay. Just face palm. I can't believe these people. They are incredible racists, and they have no idea. And I don't throw that word racist around the way they do. Unfucking believable, folks. Unbelievable. Oh, by the way, over in Afghanistan, 50 people are killed as a terror group carries out a second major mosque attack this week, killing 50 people, folks. Why did we leave Afghanistan? Well, why did we go there in the first place? How many Americans are still there? The Biden administration has no idea about any of that. No idea at all. Now, let's jump back over into the subject of the week. And I think Uman is right. We'll have something new to talk about next week. But this week has been the all-out attack on America, the foundation of America, the future of America that is hardworking parents who pay taxes and obey the law, and their kids in school and what they're supposed to be taught. People are realizing that our children are being targeted for indoctrination into the most extreme leftist, sick, just absolutely sick doctrines. That of the LGB crowd, that of critical race theory crowd, and that of the government can mandate everything medically for you and you have no choice, right? In other words, surrender your morality, surrender your choice, surrender medically, surrender, well, who you are, your parents, and your country. Everything is surrender with these people. And it's come up that we're not going to back down. And I want to encourage people not to back down. It's amazing. They went and got the FBI to go after parents. And now parents are saying, we're not backing down, right? In other words, I guess the sleeping bear has woken up. This may be an opportune time for all of us to contact people that we may have contacted 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, and they said, just not interested. They never responded to an email, right? Sending a link to these videos, they may have just not have responded. They might respond now if you send them a Prepared Mind video to get them, right, to come here, to go to the R Syndicate, to start thinking about being an American is more than just working and paying your taxes. And it's more than just complaining about the system. It's actually doing something to protect yourself, to become a, rugged individual. Right? You should have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. You need those things because the system out there is falling apart. And showing up at one school board meeting or 2 or 3 even is not going to fix the entire problem. The bigger problems are coming. This is when America wakes up. We're in that period now. The years leading up to 1776, it took a long time, folks. The people of colonial America didn't wake up one day and just realize all of a sudden, what the hell? These redcoats are everywhere. They're taxing us. They're taking our farms. They're taking our property. They're sleeping in our house. They're eating our food. They're blockading the ports. They're fucking with us. They're throwing us in jail. They're making up fake charges. They're falsifying evidence. They're getting people to perjure themselves. We're going into secret courts. All of these things were going on. And it didn't happen in 1 year. It was literally decades in the making. And it progressively got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until the people finally said, that's it. So there's that period of time where it gets really bad, and then people en masse, a big group of them percentage-wise, wake up and go, hey, that's enough of this shit. We're now in that period, folks. I think that we've made the switch. I think this attack on parents, children, the school system, I think that Cerveza bug has been a huge just attack on our liberties, and the people, I think, are finally waking up. This mass awakening, which of course is going to it's going to require a massive response by the political left, the powers that be, the deep swamp, all of this shit. These guys are going to have a counter move, right? In war, you send your troops in, they send in some troops, and then you do a counter strike, you bring in tanks, air support, whatever, and the other side does the same, right? They're going to up the ante in the fight, the same way King George did. King George didn't do everything all at once. He slowly turned the dial, and it got worse and worse and worse. It is happening again. That's how things work out, folks. That's how things work out, right? A big deal this week, if we're going to look at some financial information, economic stuff, is on CNBC and basically all finance news channels. They were shocked. Something different happened this month, folks. The September jobs report came out, and it was horrifyingly bad. Now, I would like to say that even under the Trump years, it wasn't great. We've been having trouble. The economy's been faltering and I think going down. But September, it really it just fucking tanked. The lost jobs, folks. This is coming from the Cerveza bug mandates. That, of course, that mandate that doesn't really exist and was never signed and isn't a law anywhere, isn't an executive order anywhere. It's just a bunch of hot air out there circulating. But still, that's the effect it's had. People saying, screw it, not going back to work. People saying, screw it, I quit. People saying, screw it, you have to fire me. And then they get fired. They're not creating more jobs, folks. They're destroying jobs. Biden isn't uniting America. He's dividing America. But just remember, this is all Trump's fault, isn't it? I mean, it's pretty obvious this is all Trump's fault. Unbelievable. Now, we got this little story here coming from the congressionalinsider.com. And here's what they have to say. This is something we all need to take note of, regardless of whether you're on the Mexican border or whether you're way up north or somewhere in between. Officials in Mexico, this is Mexican officials, are saying that most of these Haitian migrants aren't refugees. That's interesting that they would make that statement, right? According to the Associated Press, folks, that's the mainstream media, the Biden administration is letting Haitian migrants into the United States massively. They're not stopping them, right? The Department of Homeland Security is transporting them all over Texas by bus. It's unbelievable. Now, I want to ask this question, though. If I can't get a cash credit card, I can't take cash and buy a prepaid credit card. I can't get a bank account. I can't get a job. I can't get any government benefit. And that was if this guy could even qualify for it. I can't even get a government benefit without 2 forms of ID, proof of residence, and a social security number. So I have to ask the question, how the fuck are these refugees, whether they're from Haiti or Somalia or Central America, how are they going to survive? Except through criminal gangs and criminal activity. Has anyone even asked that question of President Biden and Raggedy Ann Jen Psaki? How are these people supposed to do anything? How are they supposed to control? How are they supposed to pay taxes? How does any of this fucking work? I mean, in the month of October alone, we are slated to have 400,000 illegal immigrants pour into this country. We are now experiencing in America, the United States of America, what Europe has been experiencing for the last 10 years, 20 years, with migrants just pouring in. And what are they doing? They're taking over towns. They're taking over entire cities. They're destroying and corrupting those cultures. The Italian culture, the French culture, the Spanish culture, the German culture. They're going in there and just ravaging those countries, living off of everyone else and subsisting through their criminal activities. Let's see, drugs, prostitution, human trafficking, other crimes like burglary, theft, fencing. That's what they're going to have here in America, folks. Get ready. It's coming to your neighborhood. Unbelievable. And I gotta go back. We're just about done with my half. I want to ride the Attorney General of the United States of America, Merrick Garland. I want to ride him into the ground like a bull. I would like to see him beaten into the ground philosophically like a railroad spike, right? The claim now, looking at everything, is that the Democrat Party saw that they're going to be just in huge trouble going into the 2022 midterm elections. And everything that is being done right now is intended and designed, right, to shall we say, rile up the Democrat base. And I think that that's true. I think that they're riling up, right? Things are even worse than they were before, right? The teachers' unions, Attorney General Merrick, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, planning to monitor parents, right? The school board associations complaining about the parents. The whole idea, folks, is to counterattack and make it look like the parents are the bad guys, to make it look like America is a bad place. That's what they're just going at. While they destroy us, they're using it as political fuel to keep their voter base hating us. This it's an entire orchestrated plan, folks, and they're carrying it out. We, us Americans, we need to have an orchestrated plan to counter this. So, as usual, I'm going to continue. I'll say it again. You need to get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Have a plan, because it's coming, and they're not going to back off. They're not going to quit. They're not going to give up. And oh, by the way, tomorrow we will have the worldwide weekly wrap-up, uncensored, only on Patreon. And also that will include the weekly Horse's Ass Award. But that's only on Patreon, only for Patreon subscribers. And then we'll be back Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's when we'll do the zoo, where we put YouTube and Patreon together, and we just have one hell of a Sunday Night Live. Let's do this. Let's get into your questions.
Are you ready?
Oh, boy, I got to tell you. Oh, I left off one part talking about all of these people coming to America. The leader of the migrant caravan that's heading this way with massive numbers of people says what? Says they're prepared for war. That comes from thescoop.us, letting us know, yeah, the people that are coming here are not interested in being Americans, folks. They're coming to commit essentially cultural and political war on us. All right, we got Doc Holliday Guns, and the Second Amendment says this: what charges can we bring them up on? We, the people, we, the sovereign people of this country, we can bring any of these politicians, we can bring any bureaucrat, government employee, we can bring them up on any of the charges. I believe that, and again, I'm not recommending we do anything illegal. I just want you to think about this. What if, let's just pick a city. How about Dallas? The city of Dallas. I'm going to pick on Dallas for no particular reason. The city of Dallas, 1,000 people sign a piece of paper saying, we believe the mayor of Dallas has committed great crimes, right? They should, I think, be able to present that to the district attorney and say, do something about this or we will, right? This is really comes down to the government is supposed to do its job. Prosecutors are supposed to do it. Law enforcement is supposed to do it. If they don't do it, then who does? Can we, the people, take these steps ourselves? The answer is yes, we can. It has been done in America before. Corrupt officials, and I can't remember which state it was. I think it was Missouri. Quite some time ago, they had a problem, massive corruption, and the people showed up, I believe with arms, arrested these people, the corrupt city officials. And I wish I could recall the city, the state, and some more of the details, but they ended up holding trials. Now, does the judiciary join in this and say, okay, we're going to do this in a manner that is consistent with due process? The answer is yes, it should be done. But see, this is what it comes down to, is the government doing its job? The answer is no. So who has to do it? Well, it's up to us, the people. It hasn't gotten bad enough that we're going to do that yet, but those charges, and it would probably be the most serious ones. I mean, jaywalking, no. Shoplifting, no. Let's see, bribery, conspiracy, Those are pretty heavy charges, right? Right? How about just plain old treason? I mean, we can look at Hillary Clinton. There's a federal one. Everybody knows all the crimes she's committed. Everybody knows, including James Comey, including Christopher Wray, who is, right, the acting director for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He knows she's committed a crime. Should or could Americans go and arrest her, torches and pitchfork style? I think they could, and call it citizen's arrest, right? They could get all of the charges, put them on paper, have others swear that they're aware that she did this, right? That they heard James Comey say she broke the law. And I'm not telling anyone to do anything illegal or unlawful, harmful or dangerous. I'm saying this is an example. If the head of the FBI, James Comey, at the time said she'd committed a crime, broken the law, felonies, folks, national security issues. That right there, I think, is sufficient that people could sign an affidavit saying they're aware of the crime she committed and she's going to be citizens arrested, and that the district attorney has to do something about it, that law enforcement has to take her into custody. I mean, that's Old West style law, right? Is that vigilantism? No, it's not going out and killing anyone. It's arresting them. They need the process to be started. Right? Once the engine is started, they tend to kind of run on their own, but nobody will take that first fucking step and go after someone like, Ilhan Omar, who married her brother to get him into the country. Isn't that some kind of fraud? Isn't that a crime on its own? Just the incredible amounts of fraud that's being committed. Unbelievable. So Jay Clifton checks in and says, I saw a report that the Center for Demonic Control. Okay, let me try this again. He said, I saw a report that the CDC is offering the Jim Jones juice for children 5 to 11. How long before they try to just make it a mandatory prescription at birth? I don't know if they're going to make it that far. You ask, how long? As they try and lower this age in America, in other parts of the world, namely Scandinavia, the number's actually going up. Doctors are now starting to ask the question, when it comes to cerveza bug, it's just an honest question. When it comes to cerveza bug, right, a person in their 70s is like 10,000 times more likely to get it and die than somebody who is under the age of 20, like 10,000 times higher. So why would you treat a young patient the same way you would treat an older patient? You don't use the same medicine because the same situation doesn't exist. And we're getting doctors questioning and continuing to question even more what is happening, right? Why is this being pushed? Folks, there is a sinister, evil agenda, and it's playing out right now. They've been talking about this for years. They got their science together. They got their politics together. They got the mainstream media involved. They got the elected politicians involved, and they're executing a very dangerous plan. I don't know. I have no idea if they're actually going to be able to go that far. I do know that a lot of unscrupulous, ignorant doctors would just follow orders. I know that a bunch of politicians and sellouts would be more than happy to take a little bit of money or a position of power. And that is the fight we're up against, folks. Ignorance and evil. And they're not going away, and they're not quitting. Let's move on, though, if we shall. We have an incoming message from the big giant head. It said this: I had Facebook advertising heirloom seeds and burpee seeds since your last broadcast. Thanks a lot. Well, I guess it's better than other things. Yeah, your computer speakers play heirloom seeds, right? And now your computer, Facebook, and everyone has heard you. It's interesting when I'm talking around my phone And I don't give a shit. I really don't. Because when it's go time, folks, guess what? I won't be holding my phone. It won't be anywhere near me. It'll probably be a fucking mile away, right? It'll be turned off in a fucking EMP bag and miles away from me. So they won't know where I'm at, right? It's tracking device. I don't think so. But yeah, it usually takes them 2 days to hear something I talk about before it shows up in my advertising. And then I'll go through and clean out all the cookies and clean everything up, and it'll be fine again. It's pretty funny. But they are listening. Their programs are listening. Facebook especially. Facebook, Google, right? What is that? Alexa with Amazon. These things listen. It's interesting. What do they hope to learn? Well, making money, folks. Making money. We got Doc Holt checks in and says, quote, I have nothing to hide. Quote, he says, is what most people say about the government doing general searches of their internet activity. Your thoughts? Well, I don't have anything to hide. The question is does the government have the authority, and what reason do they need to do this? Number one, it creates a huge bureaucracy on their side. It creates jobs, costs money, and to what purpose? It is an invasion of privacy, though, folks. It is, whether it's a private company or the government listening to our stuff, it really is an invasion of privacy. I've got nothing to hide, but it's funny when we ask questions of Joe Biden, who apparently has a lot to hide, he won't answer them. Same with Jen Psaki, same with Nancy Pants Pelosi. Hey, Nancy, how did you become a multi super duper extra millionaire? How did your husband become such a massive multi millionaire? Does it have anything to do with the office you hold and the decisions you make? I sure wish I knew what companies they were investing in when they learn and know to invest so that I could, follow if I was one of those investment guys. Unbelievable. This idea that, well, you shouldn't have protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. There's a reason that was created. There was a reason that's the Fourth Amendment. There's a reason for having a Fifth Amendment, right? That is to say, protection against self-incrimination. And I think that should include, folks, breathalyzer tests, blood tests, and anything else. You should not be, nor your body or any portion thereof, be allowed to be used against you or forced to be used against you. We have a serious problem in this country, folks. Serious problem. And I think the people are growing ill and tired of it. Let us move on. We got Logan. He says, John, what is your view on using small drones as a prepper tool for surveillance or other communications? I think it's a great idea to use drones. We covered this probably 2 to 3 years ago in some detail. The use of drones for gathering information, for observing and protecting your area, using it essentially as a type of patrol. Right? If you can go up a couple hundred feet and fly out as far as you can to the end of your range and use the camera to observe your surroundings and see who's there. Whether, folks, we're talking rural, right, out in the country, or in the city, right, your city block, who is around you. I think it's a great idea. If you have electricity or you have solar power to charge the drone up, it's a great idea. Works really, really well. It's safer than sending people out, probably faster, etc. It gives you a wider look. And if you can, the camera information comes back, if you can save it in a file and then scan it much more carefully, right? Look for people. Now, the counter move to that is if you know there's a drone and you're camouflaged, and you have the ability to hide, take cover so it can't see you, you probably realize, okay, it's going to take them a little while to recharge that drone and send it back out again. They won't be constantly flying drone surveillance to protect a neighborhood or a community. But they might, but you never know. So as soon as that drone goes by, you know it's time to get up and make your moves again. I mean, there's ways to counter this. The government has its drones. The police have drones as well, believe it or not. They do have drones, not just the big, like, not the military size one, not the Raptor or whatever it's called, but they have the little, well, actually, they're not little, they're the larger, more civilian type drones. They can lift quite a bit of weight. They can also, folks, arm them. That is, they can weaponize the drones. I think it's chicken shit, but I'm kind of old fashioned. I like the idea of killing someone else, the enemy, with your bare hands, right? Facing your enemy in the field of battle. But drones is a way for people who don't have that ability to approach the concept of conflict. Can they be used for surveillance? Yes. For defense? Yes. Can they also be used for offense? Yes. You can fly a drone out ahead of your patrol. Make sure everything is okay. And if you see the enemy from a drone, providing they can't hear it, it can help you create a strategy for confronting the bad guys and asking them politely to go somewhere else. All right, we got Opie Waddell checks in. He says, John, when libtards stood in line to have their appendages connected at Hell's Gates before birth, they decided to flip upside down. This explains why they are always spewing. Thank you, Opie. Yeah, it's these leftist types. You know, Democrat, whether you call them Democrats or socialists, fascists or Marxists, they all are cut from the same cloth, are they not? Now, like all human beings, some are more apt to be confrontational than others. Some are going to be more aggressive than others. But in all cases and in all ways, what are they? They are more than willing to sacrifice you and me. They're more than willing to spend our money. They're more than willing to tax the shit out of us, but not themselves. To confine us, right? To restrict us, to restrict our rights. They don't want to be stopped, right? They want all the things they want. But that's how they all think, that they're special, that they're better, that they're smarter, that they know. We're going to have conflict. Sooner or later, that is why you need to be prepared. These people will not quit. They won't go away, folks. They're not going to let up. Shit has hit the fan. They've got things where they want them, and they're driving and they're pushing to get their demands, their agenda met. That doesn't mean we're losing, we're going to lose, or that we should give up. To the contrary, it means we need to really step up and fight harder. What is it that they're doing? The political leftists, these libtards, are using government muscle. They're using mainstream media influence. They're using Marxist tactics, and they're using psychological and information warfare against us. Are they prepping? By and large, no. They don't save food. They don't arm themselves because they think the police are going to do the job for them, right? So they don't have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. What have they got? They've got government doing all the work for them. Typical fucking liberals. Let's just get control of the government and make it do our dirty work. And then we can sit back on our hands and talk about how smart we are with each other. That's what they're about, folks. That's what they're about in their sick little fucking heads. That's what they believe. They're smarter and better. They know what's right. They know what's best for you, and you better obey or they're going to have the police come and get you. All right, I got Dangerous Freedom checks in and says, John, how viable do you think pot will be for barter? I know it's not addictive. I know it's not addictive, but I also know some who use it processed for medicine. Number one, every fucking time someone says weed, it's not addictive. Everyone I know that smokes weed, they claim it's not addictive, yet they won't stop. And I don't give a fuck. Smoke all the fucking weed you want. Smoke it, chew it, bake it. I don't give a shit. But quit telling me it's not addictive, and that I've only been smoking it 30 years, and I can quit anytime I want. Folks, cigarettes are addictive. Sugar is addictive. Monosodium glutamate is addictive. Anything that you like is addictive to some degree. Quit making that fucking claim. Number two, disappeared. I think it is going to be great for barter. I do agree that hemp oil, cannabinoid oil, CBD, it's good. It has huge medicinal value, huge medicinal purpose for pain killing, pain control, pain management. It's a great antidepressant or depressant, depending on your perspective and how you look at things. Helps people relax, helps them sleep, helps them deal with pain. Don't tell me it's not addictive, because everything that works and helps and is good is addictive. But yeah, it does have great purpose, and I believe it'll satisfy a lot of bartering needs. But it's called weed for a reason. The shit grows like a fucking weed. You can just take a handful of seeds and just throw them the fuck out there, and you're going to have weeds growing up. Happy little weeds. It's going to be a big part of the black market economy because it does have THC, which gets people high. People get addicted to that high feeling, right? It's unbelievable. Alcohol is addicting, right? If I drink a beer, it's going to have less of effect on me than if I smoke a fucking doob, right? I'll be stoned out of my mind talking about aliens and nanobots and hollow earth and Bigfoot and all kinds of crazy shit, right? If I get stoned, which is why I don't get stoned. It's a great topic. I enjoy it a lot. It's not a gateway drug. It's not addictive. Alcohol's addictive. Sugar's addictive. Smoking cigarettes is addictive. Okay, Sally's sex. People are sex addicts, right? Remember that? Bill Clinton. I did not have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. There was all that talk that President Clinton was a sex addict, so it wasn't his fault, that he was doing the naughty things that he does. All right, Sally Sue checks in and says, "Thank you for your message this morning, John. I'm not in this for the long haul. Oh, I'm in this for the long haul, but it's comforting to know that I'm not alone and that I'm not the crazy one when I'm surrounded by people acting as if nothing is wrong with the current situation." Oh, I tell you, there are so many people out here, folks. They just want to pretend like there's no problems. And you're welcome, Sally Sue. Pretend like there's no problems. It's so much easy for them to, metaphorically have their head in the sand or up their ass. It's just so much easier, folks, to pretend like just a couple of things have happened and everything else is normal. The lights are on. There's food. Yeah. It's up, $175 a month on average per household. That's a lot of disposable income getting chewed up in higher food prices. But, it's easier to pretend that than to admit that there's a problem, because when there's a problem, somebody has to do something. And that's where we're at right now, is people waking up to the problem and then realizing the government's not fixing it. And then things get worse, and then realizing now I got to do something about it. Or you go over to the political left side and just say, well, this is the way it is, and the government makes all the decisions, and we like that. It's a whole lot easier, folks. It's a whole lot easier to be a Democrat, social, Marxist, fascist pile of shit in the upcoming SHTF maelstrom that is just about to descend on this country. If it hasn't already, it's just not playing out in the streets. But it's a whole lot easier to say someone else has got this. It's not a problem. Lights are on. I'm not freezing to death, whatever. All right, let's move on. We got Gary D checks in, and he says, here's a question. He says, in my opinion, the Democrats are trying to do away with American traditions by many methods, letting migrants in en masse, Dr. Doom trying to cancel Christmas. Your opinions on this? They are trying to do away with American traditions, our culture. Our culture is based on our law. Our belief systems come from the traditions. How America started was people escaping religious persecution. They came to America. Then people were fleeing political persecution. It was religious and political. And at that time, folks, at the time that people were fleeing to the Americas, North America, notably in our case, there's something very interesting going on, right? People wanted to be free. And in England, the King of England was both head of church and state. So to be religiously persecuted was also to be politically persecuted. And so our nation was born with the idea that you should have freedom of religion, freedom of politics, freedom to say what you want, to think what you want, to share information, freedom of the press, that is to distribute information, whatever means, by whatever means. And now more technologically advanced, here we are live talking around the world right now. It's quite a bit different than me having to create a printing press and then take it, put it on paper. Someone has to make the paper, and then delivering those papers to people to try and influence them. Right? It's changed. The game has changed, but the methodology, the purpose of it is still the same, and that is that we should be able to express ourselves. And second behind that, folks, came the right of self-defense, right? Enshrined in the Second Amendment. We had the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment comes about and into play the moment the First Amendment becomes spoiled, because it's very typical for a tyrannical government to stop people from thinking, speaking, believing as they want. And it's an attempt by the government to absolutely control every facet of people's lives. And that usually ends up in violence. And here we are, folks. Here we are. It's incredible. Yeah, but the country was started by people, and those are the traditions, right? Like Thanksgiving. It's a cultural tradition. It was based on a story, a myth, if you will, of what happened with the early settlers. And it taught us that when I was a kid, what they taught us was race doesn't matter. The Native Americans worked with the Europeans. They all sat down. They had a feast, right? They taught each other. They shared. They traded. Not to say that relations between all Native Americans was always good with whites. It hasn't been. It's been a fucking mess, in fact. But we try and look to the good for examples on how we should go and move about in future interactions. In other words, make things better. Unlike Marxists who want to look at someone, accuse them of being something, and then attacking them violently. You know, whether you're black, white, or any other color, you're a white racist. And so we need to destroy your culture, the things you believe in, who you are. It's your identity. Your culture, your traditions, and your laws are your identity. So they need to destroy these things in order to take control and introduce a new system. You know, the Great Reset, right? Nouveau Ordo Seclorum, the new order of the ages. We have Chester Wolf the Griffin says, I find it interesting they're using the National Guard for everything except to unload nearly 100 container ships in California and the 55 at New York. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They'll use the National Guard to drive buses. They'll use the National Guard to help in the world of medicine. You know, maybe if they quit making demands on people in the medical industry, you know, saying that they have to get the Jim Jones juice, doctors, nurses, and others, maybe if they left them the fuck alone, they would stay employed. The hospitals would be full of medical staff. And the National Guard could go and unload ships, right? So, yeah, trucks are broke, so we need parts from China. But the trucks are broke, the cranes are broke, and other parts are broke, so we can't unload the ships that have the parts we need to fix the cranes, forklifts, and trucks. Beautiful system, folks. The more they fuck with it, the worse it gets. And this will be our last question. It's from Opie Waddell, and he says, John, make some Let's Go Brandon shirts. This has to do with Brandon, who last Saturday won a NASCAR race. Wasn't the big show, right? It wasn't the big show on Sunday. It was one of the smaller NASCAR races. But the fans were screaming, Fuck Joe Biden. And the news commentator says, oh, listen, they're singing Let's Go Braden. And it was just a transparent, ridiculous attempt to cover up the American attitude. And so now it's actually a meme. Hashtag Let's Go Braden. It's showing up in the comments section on various news reports. It's hilarious, fucking hilarious. We have our Prepared Mind logoed shirts, our Prepared Mind cups, and other merchandise. It's just another way to support the channel, which is appreciated. It's a way that you can, have fun with your friends. I wear my own shirts with my own face in public just to screw with people. And I carry a coffee cup around with my likeness on it, which is just fun. It's a lot of fun. It brings up questions. What is that cup? What does that mean? What's your show about? And you can just talk to people. It might be a great way to talk to people about prepping. It might be a great way to increase the size of your group, put more good quality people in there. I don't know. What I do know is we need to communicate more. Not me to you and you to me. We communicate great. We're communicating like a motherfucker. But it's the people out there that are just now waking up. It's the people out there that know something's not quite right, that aren't quite sure what they need to be doing. We need to help them. We need to get them to the rsyndicate.com so that they know all about all of what prepping is and all the other providers. We need them to get information so they can stay current on current events and realize that feeling they had, that thought, that's just not quite right, what's coming out of that doctor or that politician or that military person. And if we can help them, with more information, put 2 and 2 together, that equals 4 every single time it's tried. If they do that, it works, right? Help people wake up, help America, right? Prep to action. You guys, it's been a long fucking week. I am exhausted. I need to get a little bit of rest, and I'll be back on Sunday. Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. We'll have a ball. You betcha we'll have a ball and talk about all of the shit that's coming. And like I said, does it ever let up? No, it's not going to let up. Don't let them beat you down. Don't let them win this war. It has just begun, and I have yet to begin to fight back. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Semper Fi. Godspeed. See you soon.